The door to May has opened. In Korea, May is known as the month of family because there are many days dedicated to the family, like Children's Day, Parents' Day, and Couples' Day. However, in Korea, May 2025 is being called by another name as well. Aren't you curious? The answer is Spring of Opera. From international operas to original Korean operas, a variety of performances are lined up one after another. It feels great to know that both opera fans and those new to opera will be gifted with such a splendid spring season. Hello, this is Culture Crunch's DJ Joel, and today on Creme de la Creme, we have a very special guest who will shine in the spring of opera. But before we meet them, we are going to listen to a song. This is Together by Channabi.
다른 품던 그 말로 멋진 옷을 지어입곤 텅 빈 방에 누워 잠이 낮았지. 이름도 모르는 꽃에 내 멋대로 붙여본 꽃말 손대지 말아요. 그저 눈으로만 바라봐요. 나는 너의 음악이고 그런 마음 한 줄이야. 때가 되면 내 마음에 시퍼렇게 남을 거야. 또 기다림은 저 별의 빛 우주를 건너는 너에게 하고픈 말은 하루에 딱 반씩 접어 몇 밤 더 지새면 발까지도 가는데 천 번을 접어야지만 하게 되는 슬픈 사연. 전동 같은 한숨 타면 너의 곁에 떠오르나. 나는 너의 음악이고 그런 마음 한 줄이야. 때가 되면 내 귓볼에 찬란히 매달릴 거야. 또 기다림은 저 별의 빛 우주를 건너는
If success is your goal, turn into Creme de la Creme as we interview the top players in their respective fields. And we have with us today a very special guest. We've managed to invite the director of the K-opera The Rising World, or 물의 정령, which is having its world premiere. So please welcome director Stephen Carr to the studio today.
Hello, 안녕하세요. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, okay, you speak a little Korean. All right, that's
That's
good.
it.
That's it.
That's the best I can do. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it's very nice to meet you. I want to thank you again for coming out on the show. We have occasionally talked about opera here on the show, but to have someone that is organizing such a prestigious and awesome event is great. But I heard that you just arrived in Korea last weekend. Did you have to jump straight into work as soon as you got here, or?
I did. I just arrived a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
But lucky for me, the first week is all music rehearsals. So I've been able to just kind of be a fly on the wall and watch our amazing conductor work with the cast as I'm learning this music really for the first time. So it's been a great opportunity for me to recover from jet lag.
There you go.
But also to get to know the opera and to see what all the singers bring to it, and to watch Stephen Osgood, who's our incredible conductor, work. So.
Oh, okay. First impressions, good. Very great.
Oh, it's so exciting because I've known about this project and it's existed on the paper, but this is the first time to actually hear it, and yeah, it's very exciting.
Okay, great. So the performance is on May 25th, which is very soon. And since this is a world premiere, you feel a little bit nervous, excited. Where are you at emotionally with this?
I mean, all of the above, yes. But mostly excited. I mean, I think that it's an incredible piece. It's been a great opportunity to meet all these artists. I mean, that's what's so great about opera, is that it's, I think, the most collaborative art form that exists in terms of like the sheer number of people that it takes. So I feel like I've already met so many wonderful friends for life through this piece.
Okay.
And I'm excited for the audience to see this opera. I think new opera, something that keeps the genre alive like this piece, is exciting for everybody.
Kind of the evolution, because like opera is a very old, musical style, performance style, but to keep it alive is something that needs to be done, I think. But so you've been involved in many different K-operas over the years, so you're familiar with Korean opera fans. That being said, what does Korea mean to you?
I mean, every time or whenever I've been able to come here, I'm so excited because everybody is so warm and welcoming. Truly, the audiences are the most receptive, the most applause I've ever heard sometimes from. Yeah,
wow.
So generous and so excited about the pieces. And Korea, I mean, honestly, when I come, it's so much hotel rehearsal room that I wish I had more time to really get to explore more, but this is going to be a longer stay for me, so I'm excited to hopefully do a bit more of that.
So you're hoping to go and like do a little sightseeing and all that?
Absolutely. I haven't had the chance to do much of that at all.
Korea's a very beautiful country when you go out and see it. But so we're going to get more into you as a person and all that later, but we got to talk about why you're here. And that is, we're going to start talking about the K-opera that we briefly mentioned, The Rising World, 물의 정령. That is the opera that you're here to work on. So looking at the story, looking at the poster rather, my mind's going to several different places about what this could possibly be about. So, please inform us what this opera is about.
Sure, yeah. It's about a kingdom that is being plagued by inexplicable storms, hail and rain and snow and floods. Basically, the world has been flooded, and so the water is not behaving in the way it should. And so the king of this kingdom sends for a humble artisan from the countryside and her apprentice to save the kingdom, essentially, because she specializes in the creation of water clocks.
Oh, okay.
And so they hope that her ability to control and understand the way water works will provide some insight into what they can do to save the kingdom, because it appears that the princess, the king's daughter, is possessed by some sort of water ghost, water spirit.
Wow. Okay.
And so there's a lot of themes of what happens when the leadership of a kingdom is infected in some way and how it affects the entire kingdom.
Now, this is like something that, I personally wonder a little bit about, especially modern operas, is this sort of theme, like, because it's very grand in scale, calamity with floods and spirits and possession and stuff. Is this a common thing that, is in modern operas, I wonder, or is it something kind of exclusive to this?
Well, I mean, I think that the scale of what you're describing maybe is unique to this piece, but at the heart of all opera, and the reason I think opera endures are universal truths, right? Opera is basically a form of storytelling.
Of course.
And so the reason that we tell stories is to connect with each other, to learn from each other, hopefully learn a bit about ourselves too.
Right.
So yes, each opera has its unique specifics about that, but I think what makes an opera last is not only great music, but something that's relatable, something that's introspective, that everybody can take something away from.
All right. Oh, that was a very introspective answer, mind you. But you personally, when you first heard that you had the opportunity to work on this, what did you find the most compelling about this particular story? Or this particular opera, rather?
Yeah, well, I mean, I read the libretto and looked at the score first, and I just thought, what an incredible challenge. Because as you say, things are happening in this opera. It's snowing, it's raining, there's exorcisms, there's ghosts, there's spirits. And so at first I thought, yikes, like how do you bring this thing to life? But I'm excited by that kind of a challenge.
Right.
Yeah, and just the chance to be a part of a world premiere like this and to work on this, it was a no-brainer. I was excited right away.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, a person that likes challenges, but I'm sure we get to see all of the fruits of your labor here when it premieres. But it has been getting special attention a little bit because even the story that you briefly, the synopsis that you gave us per se, it seems like a fusion a little bit of Eastern and Western storytelling, correct? So is that something that, you thought of when you first heard of the story?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's a commission from the Seoul Arts Center, right? And but our composer and librettist are Australian, and they've asked an American director to be a part of it. And our scenic designer lives in Zurich, and so it's a very international group of people that are bringing it to life. But also, I think the piece it can exist. Again, it's so universal that I think that you can certainly hear elements that are Korean. There are things about it that I think call specifically back to Korean culture, but I especially as someone who's not Korean, I didn't want to take on something that I'm ignorant of, right? But I think largely the piece itself is pretty universal. So there's flavors of all sorts of culture in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the human condition. Maybe.
Well, and the music itself too is so interestingly. The way the vocal lines are written are almost from the very beginnings of opera, the days of Monteverdi, where lots of embellishment and the way that the vocals are kind of the very beginning of opera history, and yet that's combined with this electroacoustic kind of futuristic sounds as well. Right. So the piece itself, in that sense, feels out of time and out of place in the best possible way.
Oh, okay, so something sort of unique that we can look forward to if we go watch it. Now, as directing a piece like this, there's so many things that you got to, think about, that you got to pay attention to. But what is an aspect that you personally, as a director, focus most on when working, on an opera?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that every piece I approach, I try to get to the heart of the story. Okay. Like I said, since I think it's a form of storytelling. So, what is the best way to tell this story? And that changes from opera to opera.
Right.
I think that as a director, you're really in service to three things: the story, the audience, and the cast. Right. So I'm always kind of thinking, what's the best way to tell this story with this cast to this audience? And the excitement of it is that changes with every piece, right? So I guess in moments of confusion or in moments of what am I going to do, I always try to come back to, okay, what's the heart of the story? What's the thing we're trying to tell here?
Okay, yeah. So definitely, being able to get the story across, the meaning of whatever it is that whatever opera you're doing is most important for you. Okay, so you of course are here in Korea. And I kind of wanted to know, you've worked in operas everywhere, but what is it like? What's the teamwork like with Korean staff or the Korean cast? Is it any more different than working with maybe somewhere in another country? Do you think anything in particular? Oh,
I mean, I certainly hate to generalize, but I think that the quality here is just superb. Like the behind the scenes work is always very, very, very high quality, and people are really, really working 100% to give you their best work in all aspects of the opera. I think there's so many fantastic opera singers right now, and from Korea. So I'm always just blown away by the level of the singing at the first rehearsals, and it's always an adventure. The language barrier, because you kind of on the first day you have to assess, okay, what's the language that's going to work best here for this group of people?
Right.
So sometimes everybody speaks a little bit of Italian, so we're all like trying to. I'm dusting off my Italian from school and trying to speak in Italian, so you're always adjusting on the fly as a director, and I think you're always meeting people where they are and just trying to help everybody do their best work.
Right, of course. Well, that's kind of part of the adventure. That's how you make all these connections, all these friends, and all these memories. You kind of do all of that stuff. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit more about the production here. So the soprano Hwang Soo-mi plays the role of the princess. So you personally, what do you think is her personal greatest charm? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, talk about charm. She's fantastic. She has such a gorgeous artistic way of singing. I mean, her voice is just spectacular. And, we've only known each other for a few days, but I can already tell that she's very open and eager to try new things and to work in service of the music and the story. I mean, I'm really excited to see where this goes, because, of course, she plays the princess who is possessed by a water ghost. So, we're going to see where we go with that in terms of the characterization. But she's fantastic.
I must say, as a director, you get the opportunity to meet all these people. It must be really fun to see, everybody's personal strengths and, kind of working with new characters all the time. That being said, the artisan, who could be called another main character, is played by mezzo-soprano Kim Jung-mi, correct? What about her?
Oh my goodness, Jung-mi is incredible. We did work together once before. She played Cherubino in the Nozze di Figaro that I did here, which is another fun role, actually a totally different role. But I've never met anybody more prepared, more serious, more, in a good way, serious, more dedicated. She works and works so hard, and the work just totally pays off. And she's a fantastic actress as well, which is always nice for a director of opera, because sometimes it's such a vocal-focused art form that it's a wonderful surprise when the performer is also a great actress. Right?
You get kind of like the best, a little bit of everything, But okay, so looking at this story that we have here, there are two female protagonists in the story. Some might call that progressive, but how are they different from traditional female characters that you usually see in an opera? Is there a difference, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, that's a really good point. I think that so often we see the soprano is in love with the tenor, and that's her existence, and the mezzo is the mean mom or the funny maid or something like that, right? But no, in these two women characters really kind of carry this piece on their backs, and it's great because it's not dependent upon a man or upon anybody else.
Right.
The other main character is the apprentice of the artisan, who's sort of Jung-mi's apprentice. So she's a mentor to the man, actually. Who's the male
little role reversal going on there.
Exactly. And ultimately, I don't want to give anything away, but the artisan really saves the day, kind of makes the ultimate sacrifice in this piece. So it's a very empowering piece for the women characters in that way. Yeah.
Definitely. But, in an opera, there are tons and tons of people. There's the actors, there's the staff, there's you, but there's also the music. And the music was composed by Mary Finster, who is a leading composer from Australia. What was your first impression when you heard the music of this opera?
Well, to be very honest with you, I'm just really hearing the music for the first time now, in some ways. Okay. Mary has been so generous in Zooming with me regularly to talk about things, and she'll send me samples of sort of mock-ups that she's made of what it's going to eventually sound like, but I'm very excited for our first orchestra read-through, which we haven't even had yet. So I'm learning the music right now as we speak.
Okay.
Truly, I mean, it exists on the page, so I can hear it. I can read music, but nothing's quite the same as hearing what she has in mind. But like I said, her music is so A lot of people are sometimes afraid of newer operas because they think this is going to be a little bit like, atonal or difficult or challenging musically. Her music is quite complex, but it's also gorgeous. There are already melodies that I'm singing when I'm going to bed at night. It's beautifully melodic and also kind of propulsive. A lot of energy in the music. It's fantastic.
Oh, okay. Well, seeing as how this is being held here, is there any traditional Asian or perhaps Korean instruments in there, such as like the komungo or anything like that?
You named it. That's the
really?
one. Yeah, there's a scene that actually features the komungo.
Oh, okay.
As they are constructing this enormous water clock, the primary instrument is the komungo. So as I said, there are Korean elements in the score that I know Mary wanted to honor the Seoul Arts Center and this commission in that way, and it's very exciting.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm getting more and more excited. I've never seen an opera in my life.
Oh, you have to come.
I've never
then.
seen one, but I'm getting curious about it.
I'm sending you a ticket.
Oh,
You have to
please,
come.
please. I would love to go. Yes. Okay. So there is there a clear message? Do you think that maybe you personally that maybe you would like to that you would want the audience to take away from this particular opera? You know what I mean? Like without spoiling. I don't know if you can spoil.
No, I know
but...
exactly what you mean, but I'm hesitating because I hate to do that, to be honest with you. I don't want to tell the audience what to think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have your own experience,
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite directors of movies is David Lynch, who famously refuses to tell anybody what his movies are about.
Of course.
And I think what I love about that is that I don't want to tell anybody going in what they should take away from it. Do you know what I mean? I think their experiences are going to be unique, and each individual's experience is equally valid. So I don't want to say the answer to your question.
True. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Want everyone
Sorry to
go...
be difficult.
No. Because you know what? I agree with you, honestly. Because I think that, everyone should take away something different, their own interpretation, their own, that's the beauty of art, isn't it? But yeah, so we are talking right now about your current project. But I did want to ask, I briefly did mention that you came to Korea before and that you've worked with K-opera before. But when and with which production did you first get involved with Korean opera? And how did that happen? Like, how did you end up here of all places?
Yeah, that's a story. My agent here is also an old. He's not old. He'd kill me if I said old. He is a dear friend from our college days, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so he called me, and he knew I was moving into directing, and he called me and offered me a job, and it was at Daegu Opera.
Oh, okay. We talked about that on the show before. Actually, they're famous for opera down there.
Yeah. And it was. I don't know if we'll get into it, but it was a production of Così fan tutte. To be honest with you, it was probably the most challenging job I've ever had.
Really?
Because it was the cast was students from all over the world. They had a fantastic program where they invited top students from like Stuttgart and Milan and Shanghai, all over. And we all put on this production of Così fan tutte, which is already a pretty complex opera. There's people switching costumes and falling in love with each other, and it's a complex Mozart sort of story. But I had 4 different casts of students, which means 4 times basically the rehearsal time you need, right? If you have 4 different casts.
4 totally different casts.
Yes.
Which means that you had to know each of the actors' colors, their the way that they do things. It's different for everybody.
4 different casts. No one speaks the same language, right? Because we're from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we're trying to put together this complex 3-hour Mozart opera together. So, and here I am, first time in Korea. It was a real adventure, but it was so satisfying for that reason.
Wow, I'd imagine so, because even just hearing that, putting on one in itself is challenging. So I'd imagine that putting on 4 of them at the same time must have been particularly difficult. So let's see. In 2018, your direction of La Bohème in Korea also gained international attention as well. Is that correct?
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, well,
I did La Bohème.
You are very humble. It seems you're very humble, yes. But let's see. We have the poster for La Bohème. This piece was composed by Puccini, I think is how you pronounce it, right? Portrays the lives, art, loves, farewells, and the deaths of the impoverished Bohemians. So first of all, what do you kind of think is the charm of this particular opera?
I mean, I think this is one of the most well-known, most beloved operas that exists. Probably, maybe the most.
Yes. Well, I don't know operas, but I've heard this name before too.
Yeah, you've heard this. Everybody's heard this music. It's some of the most gorgeous music that exists. It's. There's nothing. I mean, it's
genius.
It's exactly.
It's genius.
Yeah. I think your question was, what's the particular charm of this piece?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a. I think it's the music, it's the characterizations. I think it's a beautiful, heartbreaking story of love. You know, it's been made into Rent and all sorts of other more modern tellings of the same story. But it was a fun production. We actually set it in the future a little bit. Which, not on a spaceship, nothing nuts like that, but just sort of for a different kind of visual storytelling, because I read the original novella that it was based on, and one of the first things it says is bohemians like this have existed in all times and will continue to exist in all times. So these young artists who are sort of in love with the idea of being suffering young artists.
Right.
I think until they really become suffering young artists and the reality of heartbreak and death, and I'm sorry, it's not that, it sounds quite heavy, but it is.
It is heavy, but it's a timeless story, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
2068 now, while it does seem like it's far away, it's really not that far away, I feel like, you know what I mean? Time is flying by very quickly. So this time with the Seoul Arts Centers, Seoul Arts Center, which planned The Rising World, you've also worked on many performances in the genre of concert opera as well. What exactly is concert opera? Is that like just singing in the opera style, or what is it exactly?
It's basically the orchestra remains on stage, and so these are sort of, we say, semi-staged productions, meaning that the primary area for the staging is in front of the orchestra, and the orchestra remains on stage behind. So it's really a concert version that features the orchestra in a way that usually you don't see them on stage. Right, they're usually in the pit beneath. So the very fun. I mean, we still did costuming and projections and lights and all sorts of things, elements of staging, but with the orchestra on stage. And actually, that was also at the Seoul Arts Center, which is such a beautiful venue that we got to use the choir loft behind the orchestra for staging and sort of made the most of the space, but also really those performances kind of center the orchestra in a way that a full production may not.
So curiously, I mean, this is kind of harkening back to the thing that you said about, like, you managed to utilize space differently at the Seoul Arts Center. But if you have one particular show, but that show goes other places, do you find that you have to completely change the way that stages are? You know what I mean? Like in terms of like where you put stuff and like how people have to move and stuff like that?
Sometimes, although I think often opera houses will not take a production from another place unless they know they can accommodate it in some ways. Okay. I mean, certainly there are touring shows. That was my experience in music theater. I toured with a show. And one day we'd be in like a high school gymnasium, and the next day we were in like a 5,000 seat amphitheater. So you really had to adjust on the fly.
Yeah, you got to make it work. But
I think opera companies tend to rent productions from other houses where they know it's going to work. Okay. But not always. I've been on productions where the set shows up and suddenly you're like, oh, this doesn't fit. we have to get creative with how we use different parts of the set. That kind of thing.
That's stressing me out just hearing that. I can't lie to you. All right, so let's talk about some of your other works. So can you please tell us about Turandot, which you performed in 2017, correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
It was a fantastic experience. I think that was my first concert opera at the Seoul Arts Center, and it was Lisa Lindstrom played Turandot, who's just the most incredible singer, but also the nicest person. And it was such a great friendship to meet her. But that was my very first opera that I saw when I was a little kid. So, and I was in the children's chorus. So for me, that was very much like there she is. Oh my gosh, good memories. It's just that's probably one of my favorite operas. Because and you'd recognize the music from that one as well.
I think so. I think I feel like maybe I'm more cultured than I think.
Exactly.
I just don't know it. You know what I mean?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of opera. Yeah, it's true.
No, definitely.
So I mean, that score is just so gorgeous that to do it with the Seoul Philharmonic and her and this great cast was fantastic.
Well, I feel like that might make me cry. I don't know. But all right, we're going to talk about another work of yours called The Marriage of Figaro, which you performed in 2018. I must say, your resume is incredible. So could you tell us a little bit about this
I'm really
piece?
not an angry person, I swear. I don't know what.
You're in work mode
Very
here.
intense.
You're
there.
in work
I don't know what's
mode.
going on.
Work mode. But yes, do you enjoy the work of Mozart?
Very much, very much. I find him very challenging, though, in many ways. This was also a concert version of The Marriage of Figaro, which was for me the hardest because this is an opera where people are jumping out windows, hiding in cabinets. You know, there's a lot of real staging that needs to happen in order for it to make sense. So to adapt that to a concert version was a big challenge.
I'd imagine so, because you know,
yeah.
with all the music going on, how are you going to be jumping out of windows and stuff?
There's no windows with an orchestra right behind you. So we get creative and hopefully tell the story in a way that it's still clear. I think when you're doing these sort of semi-staged pieces, they're almost more challenging than fully staged, even though it seems like they'd be easier, because you're trying to find creative ways to still tell the story that makes sense and not look like you're just doing a kind of half good version of a fully staged one. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd imagine that there's a lot of challenges because, you know, you're going basically into a different type of performance completely. So you kind of adaptation might be difficult, I feel.
Absolutely. But that's just as a stage director. I think for the audience, they absolutely loved these performances because the music is so featured, and centered, and the singing is so front and center.
Right.
They were a big success.
Well, I mean, you have to really pay attention to really appreciate, you know, all the hard work that the staff puts in. But with The Marriage of Figaro, the time traveling setting and the creative use of props particularly grabbed a lot of attention, right? So what with those elements, how did you choose that?
Well, sometimes it's just a necessity. Like I wouldn't say we time traveled. That was not set in the future or anything, but just for our physical storytelling, I just didn't want to put the cast in traditional like costuming. So they wore things that were more modern day, but still suggested the character. And then we just sort of, again, because it was such a complex piece, each of the characters kind of had a prop that was their sort of signature prop that they used during the performance. And so by simplifying things, we were able to kind of tell the story, I think, in a way that made sense in that setting, I hope.
Okay.
I think it worked. Yeah.
Well, no, you know, well, I mean, considering that we're talking about it today, very clearly something must have went right, correct? But yeah, I think my doing this interview right now is sort of building up my my interest a little bit in opera, which I never had before.
Good.
Although I will say this, though, I've always wanted to learn how to try and sing opera, but that's for a story for another day. That's something that I've really been interested in. But we are going to listen to a song before we continue on with our fascinating interview. We're going to take a listen to Underwater by Kwon Eun-bi, and we'll be right back.
깊이 더 내 안을 잠겨들어
나를.
You guys are listening to and watching Culture Crunch here on Arirang TV and radio. And today is Creme de la Creme, where we interview the top players in their fields. And we have a very fascinating guest with us today. We have the opera director, Stephen Carr, with us in the studio. All right, now, during the song break, we did have you draw your life graph, which we will get into a little bit, but we're going to ask you a few more questions first. So you majored in vocal performance and stage directing in college, is that correct?
I did, actually. I majored in vocal performance and then went on to pursue performing for a while before I went back to do a master's in stage directing years later, actually.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because you did mention that you did some stage acting. You did mention that, right?
Yeah, yes. I went to school for more classical singing, but then I went to grad school for musical theater.
Okay.
And I ended up living in New York and performing musical theater for a while before I kind of had that early midlife crisis of what am I doing long term with my life? And that's when I went back to school to pursue stage directing.
Okay, so
because I knew I wanted to still be a part of the creative process.
Right.
Actually, I was in a show once, and the director, I loved to just be in the room watching rehearsal all the time. And most of the cast was like out learning their lines or something,
Right.
but I always wanted to be in the room. The director came out and he whispered in my ear, "I think you're a stage director." And at the time I was like, how dare you? I'm a performer,
How dare you?
you know, right? But then fast forward a few years later, and I'm thinking like maybe that is what I want to do. So that's when I went back to
So
school.
it
for
took
directing.
some time for you to internalize, like, okay, this is what I actually want to do, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, wow, living in New York City though, because that's where most of these big things happen. I'm so jealous. I wish I could live there.
It reminds me of La Boheme because it's a very romantic notion of like I'm going to move there when I'm young and I'm a struggling actor, and that's what I did. Straight out of school. I arrived there though like right before September 11th.
Oh gosh.
So it was a difficult time to be there, and also, I was so broke. Like,
It's the dream.
You buy a pizza on Monday and make it last as many days as you can
good
through the week.
heavens.
Like and when you're young, you think like I'm living the life. But after a while, it becomes like,
That's the thing.
Can I sustain this?
In New York, they do that. In LA, they wait on tables while they wait for auditions. That's how it works.
It's so true. So true.
But all right. So I wanted to get a little bit into the opera director, role and what exactly they do. But from where to where? Now, my imagination is telling me one thing, but from where to where does the director's responsibilities lie exactly for an opera director?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I feel like my job, like I said, is to figure out how best to tell the story. But then really, it's a team effort, opera is. It's not, and I think sometimes people think the director is like the dictator or something, but I don't, and maybe some are, but I think that my job is to just kind of empower everybody to do their best work.
Right.
And then, so the success of a show depends much more on making everybody else feel like they can do their best work as
Right.
opposed to something that I'm doing. Yeah, it's an interesting transition to go from being a performer to being a director because as a performer you can kind of own the performance in a way, right? If it sucks, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You didn't sing well, whatever. As a director, you kind of have to let go a lot earlier in the process and start trusting once it's open, once the show is open. I'm just sitting in the audience chewing my fingernails like everybody else.
Right.
So. I don't think a lot of people know this, but of course there's the word opus, which means work, right? We hear that a lot about music, but opera is the Latin plural of opus. Which,
I didn't know that, really.
Yeah, which makes total sense, right? It's a grand work. It's a work of a lot of people. So, yeah.
But even from the beginning though, you are there to empower people to get everything working smoothly. So the takeaway here is that Stephen Carr is a nice director. He's a very nice director, and he's empowering people from the rooter to the tutor. So, all right, okay. So you spent a lot of years in opera, but what do you think is the greatest charm? Well, you throw that word around here a lot, charm, but there is something unique that you can feel from opera that you won't be able to feel from any other avenue of performance. What do you think that is?
I mean, I feel like maybe I've already touched on it a little bit in the fact that it is the most collaborative art form that exists, I think. I think people are scared of it because they have a stereotype in their mind of what opera is like. They think it's not accessible. Most operas now, if you go, there are surtitles above the stage. So even if it's not in a language that you speak, you can follow along and know exactly what's happening. You didn't know?
I did not know
I'm
that.
telling you, you're going to be an opera fan by the time this is over.
Because I think what you're saying is that there's a lot of stereotypes about opera. Like they're thinking late 1800s, like everyone's just standing around, like
or the woman with the horn helmet,
like stuff
right?
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not what it is. Opera has evolved, everybody. So like, it's time to.
I mean, listen, I love A Woman with a Horn Helmet. Those are still great operas.
Of course.
But you can certainly experience the story in a way and know what they're saying now and know what's going on. And yeah, I think the emotion behind opera, people feel in opera in a way that they don't in any other art form.
Right.
Because what the people on stage are doing is so heightened, and just like the emotions behind the story. So it's exhilarating.
I can say that I've probably seen every other type of performance you can see, but I've never seen an opera. So I'm thinking I'm going to take you up on your offer there. All right, so I wanted to get a little bit into your very first opera that you ever directed. What was that? Do you have any like funny stories or episodes or anything like that about the very first one you ever did? You must have been nervous, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure I was. I
even
still get
remember.
nervous. Yeah, no, I think it was a production of the Abduction from the Seraglio, another Mozart opera that I did like straight out of college. Though in my master's program I was able to direct there as well, so that was a wonderful experience.
Okay.
I can't think. I don't know. Oh, I do remember that very first opera. The lead soprano fell off a horse and broke her arm, and so we had to perform the entire performance in a sling, and that sort of changed the whole vibe of all the romantic scenes for sure.
Ooh, imagine that your first performance,
Poor
someone
thing.
breaks their arm.
Yes, I hope it wasn't I didn't jinx her or something. No, yeah.
Well, it worked out well, right? So
It did. She did great.
There you
She did
go.
great.
Listen, we always find as a director, you got to find a way down around everything. All right, so I did briefly mention to the audience that before or while the song was going out that we listened to a while ago, we had you draw your life graph. Now, let me ask first: have you ever drawn or done something like this?
Not at all. It's a very introspective, to use the word of the hour, exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask, because that's what every time we have someone that comes out on Creme de la Creme here on Culture Crunch, that they explain their life graph for us. Now, you are the first person to ever include years, as in like not your age, but the decades. So like here we see, I'm looking at the 1990s right now, but let's start from the very beginning. I think that's a person over there.
That's me as a baby.
Oh, that's you as a baby.
You can't tell?
No, I just
my
look like
artistic skill.
a
I'm
stick
kidding.
man. But yes, please explain, like go through it chronologically for us here. Explain a little bit.
Oh man, I don't know. I was just thinking on the fly, like you say. I was a very happy little kid. But then, you go through those awkward years of elementary school. I didn't really know who I was, wasn't very happy with who I was. But then in the 90s, I think, and it was in the 90s, I ended up going to performing arts high school and really discovering that I really wanted to do music and ended up going to college for music. So I was very happy then and sort of, and then, there's the rough years in there of struggling in New York City, like
there we
I
go,
said
like we
there.
mentioned.
Yeah, although, I was pretty lucky to work and to get some performing gigs. Even when you have a great gig, it's over a few months later, and you're back to square one, and you're waiting tables, as you said, and all that stuff. So
you're splitting one pizza over the week.
Exactly.
We're back to that. Yeah.
So then I think the next positive hump was going back to school and studying stage directing and getting back
is that
into
the line there after the 90s where you go back up? Is that what that is? Or
I think so.
You think so? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember what I was
it's
just
fine.
doing.
Listen.
Yeah, and then I put a big. Then around 2015, started directing and all of that good stuff. Although I guess I was directing before then, but that's when let's say that was my first job in Korea. So it was a big high for me.
There we go. You're not just doing that for the TV, right?
No,
That's
of course
true?
not.
Okay.
No. And then of course the pandemic and those years of being kind of like. I was teaching opera as well. As a professor, but trying to teach opera on Zoom, not able to go outside. Lots of political turmoil where I was coming from.
Oh, gosh.
But I've recently moved to Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm on the up and up. I'm very happy with that move. And then there's a little star because I'm here and we're doing The Rising World, and
That's right.
things are looking good. So.
There you go. Look at that. Well, listen, lots of ups and downs, but you know what? You always manage to go back up.
That's right. And the whole thing is, you'll notice above the hat, 'cause I have a very lucky, blessed life, so I'm good.
Yeah. So, curiously, though, you did briefly mention, this isn't in the script, but you did mention that you moved to Canada. How is the opera situation in Canada, or do you find yourself just kind of moving all around the world while producing operas? Like,
No. It's great. Actually, I live in Toronto, which is
okay.
the largest city
Right,
in
right.
Canada, and so there's some fantastic opera companies there, and it's wonderful. I mean, they have been so welcoming and open, and some of the friends that I know from the past have thrown me jobs here and there to direct in Canada, and so I'm really happy there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, curiously, I would say that each person, you mentioned earlier, like maybe not all of them are super nice, but every director is going to have their own style of directing, like something that's uniquely you as a director. Is it possible for you, do you think, to pinpoint your unique directing style, something that Stephen Carr's style? Like, do you have something like that, like in your opinion, or has other people maybe told you that, oh, this is like your directing style? Like, do you have any idea of what it might be?
People do tell me that when they look at the shows, there's something about like lighting and silhouette and stuff that I seem to be attracted to. Like,
really?
I do think I think like a lighting designer when I'm directing. So I'm always imagining like so I can drive the lighting designer a little crazy sometimes. Because I'm imagining, and maybe that comes from being a performer. You're always sort of thinking about where the light is coming from, and so if that's what you mean in terms of style on stage, maybe that's something.
It could be that, yeah.
But I also think that people are surprised when you're not a jerk as a director. So people have said to me like, "You're nice," and I do try to be nice. I don't know. It shouldn't be a shock.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a director and you just come in and you're demanding and you're mean to everybody and you're always angry about something, people learn very quickly not to take you seriously because everything is a drama, right?
Yeah, of course.
Whereas if you're nice and you're empowering people and you're doing when you do have to get serious or when you do have to say, look, this is important, then people take you seriously because it's not like you're just angry about everything in the world.
Right.
You know
I mean, it's time to crunch. It's time to get serious, and you gotta get your point across. But you don't have to be. Ooh, I almost cursed.
I know, me too. I was trying to watch my tongue as well. Don't worry.
All right, so we're having a very introspective. Once again, that is the word of the hour here on this show. That and charm, I think. But we are with Stephen Carr, the opera director. Now, I did want to ask you one of our official question that we have here. It's a very simple question, but introspective nonetheless. What is opera to you? If you were to put it simply. Like some people say like life or whatever.
Connection.
How
about
in what
that?
way?
I mean, I think that it's the reason we tell stories is to connect with each other, right? So in that sense, opera is a way of just reaching out to other people and saying, me too, I've been there. But also connection behind the scenes. Like I think that's one of the beautiful things about it is it's, as an art form, it's kind of an empathy generator.
Right.
We live in a time, I think, where we're increasingly getting like behind our screens and separated from each other.
You ain't
and
kidding.
all that stuff. So just the mere act of sacrificing 3 hours of your life to go and sit with a large group of people and enjoy a common experience is becoming increasingly, I think, sacred and rare. So the word that came to mind was just connection, because I think it's another way of reminding ourselves of our shared humanity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very important, especially, these days, when everyone's kind of just not really doing anything except sitting behind a computer or your phone. But, all right, so yeah, that was actually very, I like that answer. I'm not going to say introspective anymore, I promise. But, all right, so of course we have been talking about the rising world this whole interview. But, aside from that, you are obviously going to have to pay attention to a lot of that until it's done. But what about in the future? What are your plans going forward, as an opera director or personally even?
Okay, I mean, I'm currently doing a PhD in Canada. That's why that's sort of how I was able to get my foot in the door at becoming a Canadian.
Oh, okay.
So I'm hoping to finish that degree within this year. So I have to write my dissertation. But, but I love teaching as well. I'm currently teaching a little bit at the University of Toronto and at the Royal Conservatory of Music there. So I like to. I really love to work with young singers because they're, it's just a different thing than working with singers who have done operas many, many times. They're both wonderful experiences. They're just different,
Yeah.
So I hope to keep teaching. I hope to keep directing, and I hope to become officially Canadian. That's my checklist for this coming year. Yeah.
There you go. The goal is to teach and become Canadian.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was a very interesting interview, and I'm hoping that I'll have the chance to go see your opera.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Oh yes,
the
please.
tickets are in the mail.
Okay,
he's coming. He
all
said
right.
it
I'm
on
going to be
TV.
sending. I'm going to be sending Stephen Carr off with a song today. I want to thank you again so much for joining us here on Culture Crunch. Next project, you come back to Korea. Maybe you can join us again.
I would love to. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having
I feel
me.
like we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But we're going to be sending off Stephen Carr with a song. I will see you guys all same place tomorrow at the same time here on Culture Crunch. So we're going to listen to a song as we say goodbye. What is this? This is Not a Fly by Lee Seung-yeol, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
무너져 있고 발이 딜고 하나 보이질 않아 까맣게 들이운 공기가 널 덮어 눈을 뜰 수조차 없게 한데도 거기서 멈춰있지만 그곳은 네 자리가 아냐 그대로 일어나 멀리 날아가기를 얼마나 오래 지날지 시간은 알 수 없지만 견딜 수 있어 날개를 펴고 날아 결국 멀리 떠나버렸고 서로 숨어 모두 보이질 않아 차갑게 내뱉는 한숨이 널 덮어 숨을 쉴 수조차 없게 한데도 거기